Welcome, welcome, those of you who are joining us. Happy Wednesday afternoon. People are coming in here. We just want to let you know that we are going to be recording this webinar to share it out on our website for those people who may have been interested in attending but were unable to join us. So if you are okay with that, we will continue recording. If that's not okay with you, then we might invite you to watch the recording later. We would really like to record this. All right, well, I think that we are going to get started because we have a very full session today that we want to be able to get through. So today's Inclusive Learning Circle series title is AAC in Elementary and Middle School. I would like to welcome our panelists today who are going to be telling you all about this. They are all part of our open access project as statewide regional leads. And I will introduce them very quickly, but then you will be hearing from each one of them individually as they go through their presentation. So I'd like to welcome Leslie Kerbrat, Eileen Ron, Christy Rydell, and Tyler Heckathorn to our Inclusive Learning Circle today. As we get started, I just want to remind everybody that open access has an accessibility promise, and we are committed to those things that you see on the slide. We're committed to the principles of UDL and making sure that this presentation and any of the related materials are as accessible as possible. So a few of the strategies that we use that you will see are going to be simple backgrounds, digital and print materials that are available. We try and shorten links and add QR codes. We make sure that all of our photos have alternative text. We have multiple examples and non-examples, and we also want to provide opportunities and options for our participants to take part in this and also give us feedback. So we have a home-based document that we're going to be posting into the chat that is going to have links that you're going to need to access as we go throughout the session. If we have any additional links that come up during the webinar, we will go ahead and post those into the chat as well. So you're going to see those show up now. We'd also like you guys to know that we really do value your participation. So we may be using some of these features during the webinar to interact. We absolutely are going to be using the chat feature, but we also are going to have an opportunity to do question and answer at the end. So if you do have a question, go ahead and pop it in the chat and we will make sure to try and answer that at the end. And if we don't get to it, we'll figure out a way to get you that information. So this is our open access team. As you can see, we're pretty small. We consist of an executive director or an executive leader, Troy Tickle, our two coordinators, Leah Padilla and Lori Balsano Wright. And then we have three content specialists. Emily Desjardins is our UDL content specialist. I'm Jennifer Wright. I am our AAC content specialist. And actually, we are in need of a new AT specialist, as Jill McCann, our amazing AT content specialist, actually retired in December. So if anyone out there is interested or knows somebody that's interested and might want to join our team, please feel free to reach out to Leah or Lori. And then also we could not function if we didn't have our administrative support with Melanie Purdy. So that is our team. For those of you who aren't familiar with what open access is, we are one of the statewide special education resource leads within the statewide system of support. And we are really grounded in the foundational belief that with access to quality instruction, all students can engage, actively participate, and learn within inclusive settings. We have three different strands in our grant. We have Universal Design for Learning, Assistive Technology, and Augmentative Alternative Communication. Laureate or Leah, I'm not sure who's hosting today, is going to drop a link for our one page that gives you a little bit more description about each one of our projects if you are interested in checking that out. So we really want to welcome all of you today, and we really appreciate this hour that you're giving us as we dive into this topic on AAC in the elementary and middle school settings. So we're gonna start today with an inclusive welcome. And that is not something that we just made up and sounds fun. It's actually a signature practice from the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. There are many different ways to do this, but the one we're going to do today is called a fist to five, which we were in person. If we were in person and could really see each other, we would do a fist to five. But because we are virtual, I'm going to ask you to utilize your chat feature. And a fist would be 0 up to 5. And I'd like you to answer this question. So on a fist to 5 scale, how much experience do you have with students who use AAC in the elementary and middle school settings? So I'd like you to put the number that would reflect which hand you would hold up if we were actually in person and doing this fist to 5. And this is really just going to help us kind of see kind of the landscape of who we are talking with today. So if everybody could go ahead and do that, that would be amazing. All right, so I am seeing some 3s and 4s, some 2s. Oh, I love it. Whoever did the peace sign, Tom. Okay, creative. The reaction, because it was a 2. I like it. All right, so we have a range of mostly 3s and 4s, I would say. So awesome. Okay, well, we are excited to have you all here today and participating with us. So I am now going to turn it over to Eileen, and she is going to get us started on our path for today. So take it away.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for everyone coming to join us in this afternoon for this inclusive learning circles. This is our learning path today. We are going to get started in the SET framework, then go through tasks and AAC strategies, and then tools and tiered supports. So as our group began planning for AAC in elementary and middle school, we were met with various topics we wanted to discuss in depth, really. However, one point really continued to, stand out to us, and we were all wanting to share how we are building capacity with our teams so we can ultimately support our complex learners. And we use the SET framework to kind of drive our processes in targeting student needs holistically, where we begin by blending the universal, the educational, and the assistive in order to support our learners collaboratively, rather than just relying on one specialist at the site. So building capacity means having everyone on board supporting and using this SET framework. And the acronym SET stands for the student, the strengths and challenges that each student brings to the table. For our AAC users, this is communication to show what they know and understand, how they build independence and autonomy, and building relationships and social connections. For E, it's the environment, which is the context. What does the learning environment or landscape look like for our students? What's available and how are materials set up for learning? For the first T is tasks. What are students expected to do and what tasks are given to the student to move them through the communication continuum in the academic setting, especially with AAC in elementary and middle school? And then the final T, tools. What tools are used or needed to support your student? So while this is the overall idea of SET, what we really wanted to do today is to talk about how we can apply the principles of SET to build capacity in the elementary and middle schools. How can we meet the needs of our complex communicators by focusing in on the environment, tasks, and tools? When thinking about the environment, we're really identifying the physical locations and communication partners that the student engages in or with daily. So thinking about how do we set up an environment to build AAC awareness and use in our classroom? What is in the classroom environment to support comprehension and participation at all levels based on the tasks or the demands of what the student is being asked to do? How do we set up the environment to build competent communicators? Well, we first must be smart communication partners, right? So when we think about our AAC users, what can we design in our environment for this to happen? The where are students communicating? The expectation would be that communication is not just happening in the speech room. It is in the classroom, on the playground, at student events, or community-based learning opportunities. Who? Who are students communicating with? Who are the students communicating with? Both peers and adults. But how many smart communication partners do they have access to? When? When do students get to communicate? The answer should be throughout their school day, but what we also know about our complex communicators is that we need to set up those opportunities for them to communicate. We need to build this into their daily routines and design a classroom or learning environment to support generalization of when and really what they need to communicate about and how. What multimodal supports are available or taught to allow for effective communication? So let's talk first about who are our students communicating with? Who do they have available to communicate with? Why do we focus so much on communication partners? Well, because communication involves two or more persons, and both the individual using AAC as well as the communication partner need to adapt to the skills and needs of each other for the interaction to be successful. You might think that, okay, well, we need to focus on more on the student and getting them to communicate. However, we need to think more about what we can change and design in the environment to make communication happen. So the success of the interaction of an AAC user is actually highly dependent on the skills of the communication partner. Smart communication partners assume that the student can, and we need to allow the student to try and participate like every other student might want to or have the opportunity that are given to them. We don't just think that's too hard, I'll just do it for you. If we do this, we end up limiting the opportunities for that learner to engage, to try, and to learn, and ultimately that opportunity to get better at communicating. So focus on use and not testing too, wanting them to experience more rather than just selecting more. For example, we're going to get more, find more, have more, instead of touch more, find more on your device, sign more, where's more? So being a smart communicator also means that you value and accept all modalities of communication. They observe, reflect, name, and confirm based off of the context of what they see and know about the student. It also means that we wait. We create time and space for the student to try, interact, and respond. So in summary of what the environment looks like to support capacity building, we want to be multimodal. We embed multimodal supports and accept multimodal communication into your environment. 2, structured with built-in routines, tasks and opportunities built around interaction and communication. And 3, access to opportunities, smart communication partners, and practice. So that's part of the environment, how we set up the environment for the student to communicate. And our next learning path, Tyler will
That's
take it
me.
away.
Thank you so much, Eileen. So, looking at that set framework, we want to move on our path to looking at the specific tasks. what is the student expected to do? And with regards to that, we really want to focus on demonstrating their ability to demonstrate knowledge and participation in the classroom, specifically looking at a reading task and a writing task. Just for the sake of brevity for this presentation, we do have additional strategies that can be found in the book that's posted here on the screen, The Comprehensive Literacy for All by Karen A. Erickson and David A. Koppenhaver. So this book, this text, provides a lot more in-depth resources, but we're going to focus on two strategies for two tasks, a reading task and a writing task. And the first one we're going to start with is a shared reading task. So thinking about these students and what they're expected to do, reading is what a typical student would be expected to do. However, all of our students, we should have an expectation. Unfortunately, with our students that might have some more challenges or more complex communication needs, literacy is often overlooked as an area of instruction for our AAC users, unfortunately. Many of our older students, like I said, with our elementary and middle school students, these students that might have significant disabilities, these skills are going to be still emerging in their understanding. So with regards to literacy, they're still emerging in those skills. And there's a limited learning opportunities in their lives oftentimes. Often, these students are viewed as being incapable of learning and engaging in literacy activities. And this is a common misconception. So we want to have an understanding that, yes, that is possible. There is potential there. And highlighting specifically the term emergent. These are emergent readers. And the students, in order for them to gain benefit from these types of activities like shared reading, the student must be engaged in and exposed to reading and writing in real world contexts from an early age, just like typically developing peers. However, I find that a lot of our earlier students, there's some pre-learning skills, and so maybe it might not be until elementary school that we're really kind of focusing on this. But thinking about that emergent learner, that emergent student, there are 4 points that they highlight in the book about whether or not a student would be considered an emergent literacy learner or a conventional literacy learner. And so those 4 points are as follows. Does the student identify most of the letters of the alphabet most of the time? Is the student interested in engaging or interested and engaged during shared reading? Does the student have a means of communication and interaction? And does the student understand that print has meaning? So of those 4 things, if any of those is a negative answer or not demonstrated by the student, that would indicate the need for comprehensive emergent literacy instruction. So this is where we're going to look at how we can support that student with something like shared reading. And we can go ahead and advance. Perfect. So with shared reading, the focus is really on making this experience as enjoyable as possible, as fun as possible, so that the reader is going to read with expression and make it engaging for the students. Connecting the text to real life or personal experiences, making it really accessible to that student, making them engaged and interested again, and then encouraging student participation with that. The graphic there says, try the CAR approach. So the CAR approach is a method of reading to support this. So you would comment on what you're seeing in the book and then waiting to see if the student responds, then asking a question to see if they will, again, engage or respond, giving them wait time for that, and then responding or adding more to that. So this is a way to engage them. You can follow the CAR as you're doing those shared reading experiences and having the students engage with them. As far as emergent readers, there is no prerequisite set of literacy skills to access reading materials. They just need a literacy-rich environment and consistent access to all forms of literacy, so that these students should have access to and explore various reading and writing materials to meet their needs. Emergent readers and writers, they need active and interactive engagement with the world and reading and writing materials. So just to focus on that point, that this is really about them having access to it and consistent exposure. That's what a typical student would be expected to do, considering our SEP framework, and that's what we would also want to expect for our students that have some more learning challenges or variations. I'm going to go ahead and look at a reading activity.
And today is,
So we're going to go ahead and look at a shared reading activity in action that utilizes an AAC system.
Today I'm excited because today we get to share describing words a new book. Look at this. We're talking about the Chicken Divas. Read the title. Chicken Divas. And this book is for our national story times. That means we get to look at the book all at the same time. Isn't that exciting? I hope that you are looking at the book with us. Okay, so, let's look. I wonder what this book will be about. I think I have an idea. I think that we will see things, animals. I think that we will see
chicken.
I think
we will see chicken.
I think we'll see chickens because I can see them on the front cover of the book. Can you see them? Yes. Okay.
Great. So in this example video, we're seeing a slight variation of card because it's a virtual reading, but she is commenting, she's asking questions for them to engage. The wait time's a little bit quicker because it is virtual, so we don't have that student to engage with and kind of determine how long to wait, but she is waiting to get that engagement that way, and then responding and expanding on that engagement with the student. So it's just a great way to do that. And she's also simultaneously modeling on the device or doing aided language modeling to support that for the student as well. And go ahead and advance to the next one.
Beanley Special School. And
this is another example of a shared reading opportunity. This is just a screenshot of the Tar Heel shared reader. And in this example, you have this is on the website Tar Heel shared reader, and you've got a text, the image there of the trees and the snow, and it's very cold. I can relate to that with the weather lately. And then we also have some core vocabulary words that are also included on there. And that can be at the bottom of the page. You can also reorient it to the side of the page, but you can show the page, pause to get some response from the student, see if there's any engagement. Then you can have a pre-planned comment. Ooh, bird, not like, and model on the core words that we have there, not and like. And then gesturing towards those and even looking towards the student's communication system. So this is a way to have a shared reading activity with the Tar Heel shared reader. This is one resource that's available to use for those shared reading experiences. And in fact, we've got a list of multiple resources available. These are going to be in the slide deck, but they're also in the home page that you can look at as well for multiple different reading resources that you could use for different shared reading activities. I particularly like to highlight the Tar Heel shared reader for that. Going on to our writing, our predictable chart list. This is another tool that we can utilize. So with predictable chart writing, it's a type of modeled writing that was initially developed by Patricia Cunningham as a technique for helping all students, irrespective of their language skills, to help them be successful in the writing process. So we're no prerequisites here, but we can support multiple different types of students in this way. In this way, they would write out the chart with the students would select words that they can add to a specific sentence prompt. Then you would reword or work with the chart, cut up the sentence into sentence strips. You can utilize the sentence in the device. You can be the sentence, and then you can make it into a book. So predictable chart writing can be differentiated to support individual students' learning needs. So, for example, some students will learn that what they say can be written into words. Other students will learn that writing goes from left to right, starting at the top of the page and working to the bottom. Other students are going to learn how to structure their sentences using capital letters at the beginning and punctuation at the end. So teachers can really focus on the specific skills based on the students' needs and what they're wanting to have them do. But it's a great activity to have all students work on their writing skills. The predictable chart writing, it can help students to build the concept of translating thoughts onto paper. It helps them build concepts about print and word identification skills. It helps with spelling and grammar skills, communication and interaction skills, writing skills, and their overall self-confidence and view of themselves as a writer. And in this slide, we have another video, and this is going to show just that first step of the predictable chart making and how that might look in the classroom.
So be thinking about what you want to put in your sentence, okay? So we're going to start with what number do we start with? Kindergarten eyes? Dylan, right here. I need your eyes here, glued on me. Thank you. Number 1. Teresa, are you ready with your idea? One what? One sink. Good job. Kindergartners, can you help me spell the word one, please? O-N-E. I have one sink. Ink. Okay. I have one sink. Teresa, is that your sentence?
Are you done?
Are you done? Yes?
Are you done?
Are you done? Yes, thank you. Okay, so that's Teresa's sentence. Nice job, Teresa.
So we could see in the video that they read that sentence frame, I have, and she was able to select the following words, one sink, on her printout that she could then also participate. And so each student would be able to do that, and then they would write out the sentences and build from there. But then that way, all the students, no matter their ability, whether they're emerging or not, would be able to participate in those writing tasks. So now we're going to go ahead and move along, and Christy's going to share how some AAC strategies can be utilized throughout the school day.
Great, thank you, Tyler. So there are a variety of aided communication tools and tasks found throughout our specialized classrooms, but implementation strategies we use are always consistent no matter what tools and tasks we are using. So within the set framework, tools include whatever is needed by the student to accomplish a task and make progress. As was mentioned, the tasks may include reading, writing, and communication. The tools might include light tech activities, light tech core word boards, or high technology, such as a robust AAC device. And inside the tools toolbox includes the following: devices, services, strategies, training, accommodations, and modifications. It's everything that is needed for the student to be actively involved in the activities of learning, living, and growing. So in this section, we're going to look at some simple strategies for implementation. And we remember that these strategies are consistent across activities and tasks and the tools used. As a basic set of strategies, consider these: a supportive environment, how you can use the student's own experience and knowledge, find opportunities to use aided communication throughout the day, and keep all devices and light tech materials accessible. Remember, light tech strategies include core word boards, daily schedules, number line, topic boards, choice boards, even reading and writing supports. When your team is discussing the SET framework, in the tools section, you'll want to be sure to add those implementation strategies the team will use when supporting students to communicate and show you what they know and understand. The first one that we see is always out and always available. So always out and always available kind of speaks for itself. So you want to talk with the team about where these items will be kept and used throughout the day. In addition, we can consider these simple strategies to start with, especially when a staff member or a team is just learning how to support a student with implementation strategies. And of course, these strategies can and will be used with high-tech, light-tech, paper-based materials, and paired with reading and writing tasks. Aided language modeling, also known as aided language stimulation, or just simply modeling, is a great way to start. The approach helps to teach individuals with complex communication needs how to use aided communication by providing both visual and auditory input. The communication partner models natural language by pointing to symbols or words on the core word board or device, highlighting core vocabulary relevant to the situation, and speaking them out loud. So why do we do this? It focuses on providing receptive language input before expecting expressive communication, helping users gain confidence and skills with communication and academic learning. Verbal referencing is simply say what you see in the environment or what the individual is doing by using the AAC device or light core word board. One way to reinforce early communicative behaviors is to describe the behavior that you see and attribute meaning to that behavior. For example, I see your big smile. I think you like that. And I point to the word like on my core word board. During a shared reading activity, I might observe a child pointing to the dog in the book. I might say, I see you are pointing to the dog. You have a dog, as I point to you and have on the core word board or device. The following video has a nice example of a parent modeling and speaking AAC with her son at home. She is talking to the child using the core word board without placing any demands on him to respond on the core word board.
Put on open it. I do. Put on. You do. Good job. Put on. Should we do more? Okay, you do. Good job. Okay. Put on. Go.
Ready, open.
Okay, look out.
What are those? That's, wait a minute, that's a lot of cookies. That's a lot of those cookies.
I put in. Put in. It's ready to go.
I wait.
Open.
Okay, so we saw mom talking to her child using the core word board without placing any demands on him to respond with the core word board. And eventually he did. All right, let's look at our next example. This is a nice explanation of verbal referencing.
Say what you see and show what you say. 4.2.
Telling your AAC learner what they're communicating through nonverbal modalities gives them really valuable feedback about what it means to be a communicator. You may have heard the term verbal referencing. It just means say what you see and tell about it. For instance, if your AAC learner is giggling or pointing, you say, "You're laughing so hard, you love that." Or if your AAC learner is frustrated and pushing things away, say, "I see you pushing it away. You don't want to do that." Initially, you may want to just practice verbally responding without AAC. If your AAC learner is reaching for a game, you might say, "I see you reaching. I think you want to play. I wonder if you played this with Dad and it was fun." For me, I find it easiest to practice just using this language in everyday interactions. Once you start to approach interactions with a say what you see mindset, now you can incorporate AAC to show what you say and model it on AAC.
Great. Choices. Offering choices between at least two different options is an easy and effective technique to provide students with opportunities to express their preferences and learn to make requests. And offering numerous choices during interactions can also establish and extend student engagement in those activities, as well as promote their own self-determination skills. An adult might initiate an interaction by asking, "What do you want?" and offers two or more clearly defined options, and the student responds to indicate their desired choice. But what about those other functions of choice making? Students can use aided communication to tell what they want to happen. We saw this in the aided language modeling video, where the mom explained her choices of turning on the oven by saying, "Put on oven," and "open it" for opening the cookie dough. Soon, her son was saying, "Wait, cookie," as they waited for the cookies to bake. Using topic boards or choice boards are another nice way to highlight the choices in an activity quickly, but always be sure that you pair this with a core word board so that, or the child's device to offer more vocabulary. A final word about strategies and building capacity for all team members. You've talked about the student and you know what they need. You've discussed the environment and you know when and where throughout the day the team will implement aided communication and reading and writing tasks. But one of the most important things when bringing a team together is acknowledging that all team members will be at different stages in their own learning about aided communication and specialized learning tasks for reading and writing. Even motivation or interest can be different from those on the team. And it's okay that we're all in different places in our learning. We will help each other. When creating your implementation plan, find out who on the team needs training about the tools and implementation strategies. Some will need more or less time. Ask who needs the training, and then ask who will give the training, or where can we find the information. All right, we are going to head to our next and last stop on the learning path, tiered supports with Leslie.
All right, so here we are on the last step of our learning path for today. I'm going to talk about tiered supports and how the principles of the set play into this. So tier supports offer numerous opportunities to enhance learning throughout the school day. And a few include embedded classroom supports. These include visual schedules, choice boards, first then boards. They can be those reinforcement charts that you're using or task analysis lists. These are not only used to improve task completion, but they're also used to enhance comprehension. Other tiered supports may include visuals to support to enhance learning and facilitate curriculum implementation. These include some of those visuals that you saw Tyler showing in his part of the presentation, visuals like adapted story and songboards and sentence strips to support vocabulary and learning. They provide static and unmoving references that enable learners to rely on recognition rather than that memory. Also, in addition, universal communication supports can be utilized. These might be those communication flip books, core boards, context-specific boards, those single or multi-message communicators that allow all users in terms of these types of tiered supports to have access to, and they increase accessibility to all students. And this approach really emphasizes using multiple means of presenting information, allowing for diverse student expression and engaging students in various ways. So these are those supports that you have set up within your classroom for students to support in their communication. And then that kind of takes us down to those personalized supports. These build upon universal supports by incorporating personalized vocabulary and considering the student's individual needs and preferences. And then last on this tier support that we look at are those customized supports. And they may be specific systems that are feature matched or customized to the student's communication profile and access. So really looking at these tiered supports to support student success. And so let's kind of take a look at what these might look like. So here's some examples here. We have, those AAC communication apps, those generative language apps that can be used to support a task, such as a reading task. You can have letter boards to support written expression. You have those visual schedules. You have those, here you have those communication flip books. You have large core boards, and then you have tools to support behavior and task completion. So let's kind of next take a look at what these tiered supports might look in place based upon using that set framework. Here within our district in Irvine, we've kind of implemented that idea of using universal supports within that classroom setting and kind of encompassing all those pieces of that set framework. We have, our SLP pushing into the classroom to talk about those strategies, but then she's using those tiered supports within the classroom to support student learning and engagement, not only for her students, but also for those communication partners. So that's a really fun one. So moving on, just kind of wanted to throw that out there into the chat. So based upon this picture that you see here, what AAC tools are out and available in this classroom that you see? You can put those in the chat just to kind of get you guys thinking of what a classroom might look like in terms of those tiered supports that you might see. Anybody want to share? We have core boards. Yep, I see some core boards in there. What else do we see? We see a visual calendar. We see those single message communicators, a visual schedule. Yes, those are really the endless amount of those visual supports to support learning in the environment. Good. Even for that opening circle, some people have said those weather visuals. Nice. All right. So you kind of see the different tools or tiered supports that can be available in the classroom. All right. Moving forward. So with regards to that, now we want to think about or talk about, let's talk about the tools component from the guiding principles of the SET framework. same framework. And so to guide us in this, we can think about what tools and resources will best support student success with these tasks. And tier supports are inherently flexible. We must continuously adjust them based on the student's evolving needs, the nature of the learning activities, and the ever-changing classroom environment. It's almost impossible to talk about one without mentioning the other. And this dynamic approach ensures that we provide the most effective support for each student. So when we're thinking about tools, we want to make sure that we're using a student-centered approach. Remember, the focus is always on the student's individual needs and the specific demands of the task at hand. So these tools may vary based on the specific learning need of the student, the nature of the task, and the learning environment. It's also important to consider as part of this framework the environment. So what resources and supports are readily available within that classroom or that school setting that the student can utilize during that task. And it's really, I think the focus here should be start simple. You know, if a low-tech solution effectively meets that student's need in the moment, let's prioritize it. So the goal here is to keep in mind what your target is for that task. And it's always important to remember, let's have fun with it. When we approach learning with enthusiasm and creativity, we create an engaging and supportive environment for our students. And our goal is for students to be able to share what they know and understand, build independence and autonomy, and social connections with others. So through the implementation of tiered supports and strategies that Christy reviewed some of those strategies, guided by this set framework, we empower students to achieve academic success and foster an inclusive learning environment. Simultaneously, this approach models effective communication and learning strategies for our communication partners. So really, it's a win-win. So, let's work together to foster a love of learning in every student. So that kind of wraps up what we wanted to share with you today regarding elementary school aged and middle school aged students and AAC, kind of using those guiding principles of the set framework in terms of what that might look like in your school setting.
Well, thank you all so much for that presentation. We have a few minutes here where we can do a little bit of question and answer. If there is anybody that is participating that has questions about anything that our panelists were speaking about, please feel free to pop that into the chat and we can just take a few minutes if there are any questions. I didn't see any come in earlier. So I think if you had a question, I missed it. If you have a question, please feel free and ask out. Give it a minute. All right, I guess nobody has any. Oh, here we go. A question about CEUs. Are CEUs available for SLPs? And I believe the answer is yes, correct? So we can get that to you. If there are any other SLPs that are, if there are any other SLPs that are in this webinar today, if you want to reach out to us, we can get those to you. We can give you a certificate, yes, of completion. Okay. All right, well, we have a list of the resources that were used, and you guys, like the presenters had mentioned, we do have some links, not only in the slides, but also on the home-based document that you guys can go back and explore. There's a few on there that I definitely think I would like to go check out again. I love going and listening to other people speak because it always brings something back where I'm like, forgot about that. So thank you for that. So as we finish up today, I just want you guys who are here to please think about what your first next step could be based on some of the things that you may have heard or reheard today. Just like Leslie said, you got to start somewhere, and it doesn't have to be big, right? Just take that first step. So maybe that's a conversation you can have with a teammate to start maybe building a better relationship to help support building that capacity. Maybe you're going to pick up that book that Tyler shared about literacy, comprehensive literacy. Maybe you're going to explore one of those resources that was shared, or maybe one of those strategies that was shared today, and take that back to your practice. So I invite you to think of what that might be and maybe write your next step on a sticky note somewhere, post it on your computer monitor or on your desk to remind you of what you might want to do. And just even, again, taking one little step or taking one little thing away, I found that then it starts to snowball into a lot of other great things that start to happen. So just taking that first step is really important. All right, so as we're finishing up today, we would appreciate it if you would scan the QR code or use that tiny URL to provide us some feedback on this Inclusive Learning Circle offering. We have been really excited as this is our pilot year of these. So any feedback that we can get that can support us developing as we move forward, we would really appreciate. We also have a few more that are coming up, and those dates, you can access the flyer that shows the rest of them, but the next two will be on February 19th with the topic being UDL and variability, and then on March 19th, and it will be integrating and implementing assistive technology. So please feel free to check those out, and again, share them with your colleagues. We would love to have these circles continue to grow. And if you want to connect with us, this is where you can connect with us at Open Access on social media. And I would just like to, again, say a huge thank you to Leslie, Eileen, Tyler, and Christy for taking the time out of your caseloads and your work days to not only work collaboratively together. These people are across the state here working together and putting this together for us. I'm really grateful for your time, and thank you very, very much. So everyone have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.